All right, so this radiator hose is old. It expands way too much. It swells. It should be pretty firm. And when it swells, basically all the water pump's doing is filling a balloon instead of actually just pushing it through here and through the radiator. So that's not what I want. I want this thing to actually flow. And so I'm gonna put a new hose on here. And I also noticed a little dribble, just a little bit of air bubbles or whatever coming out around this gasket here. So I bought a bunch of those because I have a couple of other engines that have, or other trucks that have this engine. So I'm gonna give some people new gaskets for theirs. But we're gonna replace that gasket, replace this hose, top off the coolant. Cap's already open, so there's no pressure. Nothing's gonna explode on us. Still hot, so I'm gonna wear gloves, but hopefully this should go okay. All right. Undo that hose. Oh yeah, man, there's a lot of cracking and just grossness. That hose did not have much longer to last. Okay. To do this without spilling all the fluid. Alright, so I have a bunch of coolant actually in this hose here right now. So not that I'm really trying to save it, but I just don't want to spill a bunch in somebody's parking lot unnecessarily. So there's that. That's gonna go there. But first, everything on this engine's a 15, except that apparently. Yep. So that's going to be probably a 13. We'll try a 13. That'll seem to work. There should be a nut on there with a 15 millimeter, but that'll work. Yep, so now we're back to 15. One stud and one bolt. And one mangled thermostat gasket. So it's still hot, but it should come up pretty easily. This gasket's actually not terribly old, but I have opened this up a couple of times, so it is probably my fault that it's not sealed all the way. Alright, just the very lightest touch, barely even touching it. The point is not to remove material, the point is just to clean the little bit of gunk off the surface. So, barely touching it. And then same thing on here, and then I'm going to clean up this a little bit just so it helps seal. So all right, and then I'm going to take a rag, just dip it in there, and then any little bits that have fallen are going to get soaked up with the fluid. Soak that up right there. One more time. All right, now we're clean again. All right. Any little bits of crap that fell in there is now gone. So we need a gasket. Here's the gasket. So we can pop out these two little eyelets. And then this actually, get all the paper off of there. And as long as it's clean, this one, thermostat goes in there first. Sticky side down. Kind of line it up. Press it in place. And then this can go here. Start everything by hand. Very important, I'm just gonna seat these, no tension at all. I'm just gonna seat them very lightly. With that, this, I'm just gonna go back and forth, putting even tension on it as I go down. Now remember, there's only, that cap opens at 15 or 16 psi, I think. So it doesn't need to hold a terrible ton of pressure. So you don't need to crank the crap out of it. Now let's move this one over here, slide it up so I can put that on there. And then this clamp, I really should have gotten the newer updated style of clamp, just a regular hose clamp, but this will be fine for now. These clamps do lose tension over time. So now, a new thermostat gasket, new hose. There's a fine line between tightening this and then ripping through the gasket or the hose, so you don't want to do that. So that's good. And then hopefully you can see all these cracks, and this thing, once it starts to get sticky to the touch, the material is actually wearing out. So you can kind of see how it's bulging. That's not what you want. You want it to stay at shape so it's actually making flow and not just ballooning up and whatever. So that's good. We're gonna fill the coolant, run it, open the thermostat, make sure the level's good, and then we should be okay.